next to each other, and it was like these two trucks have the same bed length.
I don't think I've ever seen that. You know when you see that?
I've never seen it.
That is a rich, you might be a redneck kind of thing. It's either your cheap
it's classy
drift car,
or trashy.
It's you have enough money. You're like, no, I'm choosing this. Yeah.
Lucas says, nostalgia drives classic car purchases. Do you think younger generations will be less nostalgic for the past, being that their young lives are so much better documented than ours? What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Off the Record. We love Off the Record. I've used them a bunch, and I hear from you guys all the time that you're using Off the Record. What Off the Record does, man, it's a valuable service to the community. They help keep your license squeaky ass clean. It's excellent. If you get pulled over, what you need to do is use Off the Record. Do not plead guilty. Do not just send that ticket in because you think that will solve the problem and you can move on with your life. You know why? You can't move on with your life. It will follow you around. Fines and fees, insurance premium increases, you name it. Instead, offtherecord.com/TST or download the Off the Record app and use code TST10. What Off the Record will do is fight that ticket for you. They've got an amazing success rate. They cover almost every driver in the United States, and they do their jobs impeccably. They will connect you with an attorney in the jurisdiction where you got the ticket who will fight that ticket on your behalf and get those points off of your record. It's a very affordable service, especially compared to the costs of those tickets, the upfront costs and the hidden costs. And I hear from you guys, like I said, all the time that you use Off the Record to get out of these bullshit tickets. So go to offtherecord.com/TST or download the Off the Record app and use code TST10 for 10% off all legal services from Off the Record. Then if you get pulled over, all you do, send a photo or a scan of the ticket to Off the Record and they handle the rest. It's so easy. So many times I've used them and forgotten about the ticket because I just never hear from them again. And then I'll call them later and they're like, oh yeah, that's just gone. It's gone forever. It's handled. It's so money. Offtherecord.com/TST or code TST10 on the Off the Record app. All right, folks, on this episode of the podcast, I review the Aston Martin DB12. We talk about Mercedes possibly going Yoke in the S-Class, say it ain't so, and why we're not so excited about drive-by-wire steering. We do a bit of housekeeping in terms of why the ads are the way they are and how we need to proceed forward with the logistics of this show. We also talk about the craziness of Joey Diaz and his new book, Tremendous. A little bit of word adjustment regarding the Audi Q8 e-tron I drove recently, and we've got a whole bunch of great questions from the Patreon. It is a crew show. Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. I have 10 pages left in this notebook.
Nice.
I started this notebook on April 8th, 2021.
Which one are you going with next?
I have 8 more of these.
Oh,
of the blue ones.
Okay.
I might go with a different one though.
OEM
just to change
one?
it up. I might
go with a press launch.
Might go with
book?
a press launch book. I don't know. Aston Martin threw a pretty nice one in the old swag bag.
I've been using the Hyundai Santa Cruz one because it has a pen holder.
Ooh, that's nice.
And it's thick leather. I really like it.
Pen holder's good.
I lose all my pens.
Yeah.
I have slots in my backpack. They're still gone.
I actually got a pen holder that goes around that straps to the outside of this, but then it doesn't lay flat. It sits up like that.
Right, and you can't slide it in next to your laptop and stuff.
Yeah. There's no perfect solution. I don't think.
It's
but
funny
the one that's on the spine, that's probably pretty good.
The Hyundai Santa Cruz has an equal amount of storage on their notebook as it does in the bed of the truck. The bed was a little short.
It's obviously sort of bullshitty, and I don't like memes, but I saw a very funny meme that was it showed a Honda Ac-D pickup truck and a giant fucking TRX Ram and it next to each other, and it was these two trucks have the same bed length.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
It was actually pretty funny.
What is the TRX? Is 5 foot, 6 foot?
Probably 5. I mean, I didn't like sit there and fact check the
I know you're
meme
not.
and do and the Acti is probably a little narrower than the TRX is, but like, yeah, it's probably pretty close. Like, in terms of like actual hauling capacity, it's probably pretty close.
5'6", 5'7".
Yeah. So what is the
67 inches?
What is a Honda Acti bed? It's going to be like in millimeters. They're not going to have a fucking US number for that.
6'4". They're the same.
Yeah, that.
Wow. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
It's the mini truck. That's so funny.
Yeah. I mean, like, I only have a couple friends who like, now the sample size of Matt's friends does not really intersect with like people who really need trucks.
Yeah.
But I have a couple very utilitarian friends. A couple. One of whom drives a fucking Acti as his truck. It's got like the lift back fucking. It's on like JDM little wheels. It's a 3-cylinder.
What's he use it for?
He has like 4 or 5 Airbnbs in Palm Springs. And that's just like his maintenance, furniture moving, gardening, like. I mean, he's not towing a fucking, he's not towing a race car with it, but like he throws shit in the bed and moves furniture with it like all the time.
If all you have to do is carry lightweight things, like gardeners and pool cleaners all use the same 2-wheel drive small Toyota pickup truck. Yeah. And they last forever.
Yeah.
And like the Maverick will be the same thing.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Cruise show today. This is, I think... we have one more show we're recording tomorrow before we leave for our UK podcasting road trip. If you happen to be listening to us in England, which is a decent possibility. That's our second most popular country. We're going to be at Goodwood Festival of Speed. We're going to be doing live podcasts at the Lotus stage, I guess it is, on Friday and Saturday. We've got the Kaiser, who is a guy who started out, I guess, doing like almost like video game car renderings, and then has actually built some real cars out of it.
He designed some body kits and things.
He's a great follow on Instagram. Holy fuck, he's got 990,000 followers on Instagram. Damn. Great fucking car designer. That'll be really interesting. And then we've got Jensen Button. JB is going to be on the show. And I don't know if he put it on his Instagram. He sent me the pictures. Did you see JB's singer? Did I send it to you? JB's singer, Cassis Red.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, you told me about that.
He got it. He was like, mate, you're not going to believe what color I got my singer. And not only did he get Cassis Red, he got in Cassis
Every British
Red.
person you do an impersonation of.
It's the same.
It's all magnets.
It's all the same.
It's all magnets.
It's all the same. They're all magnets. That's funny. Asymmetric seats. He got the bucket driver's seat and the comfort passenger seat.
Cool.
Which is a fucking G move.
Yeah, it's smart.
That's pretty G.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that. You know when you see that?
I've never seen it.
That is a rich, you might be a redneck kind of thing. It's either your cheap
it's classy
drift car,
or trashy.
or it's you have enough money. You're like, no, I'm choosing this. Yeah.
So JB will be on the show, and then we're going to be doing Sunday the 16th in the evening at Caffeine and Machine outside of Stratford upon Avon. And Caffeine, you don't need any special tickets if you're at the Goodwood thing. If you're in Goodwood, just come. If you're going to be if you want to come to Caffeine and Machine Sunday, July 16th, you will need to buy a ticket, and you will get it on the Caffeine and Machine website. I don't know if the link is up just yet, but I talked to them yesterday, and they will. Where do you go? Go to Yard. Yard tickets. It's going to be in the Yard tickets section, and it will say, live podcast, Smoking Tire. All of the money, we're selling tickets. 100% of the money will be going to charity. They have a mental health charity with kind of a funny name. It's like
I Love You Man.
It's the same thing that the I Love. That's the I Love You Man is the series that they do, and it's like a live podcast, but it's not recorded. It's just a live chat, and they give all of the charity It's just something about like living not miserably or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of it, of the charity they do, but it's something about mental health and not being miserable and whatnot. So we're doing the show there.
Do you know, because you've been speaking to Phil, are podcast show tickets included if you get an evening yard show?
Believe
pass?
so.
Okay.
Yes, I believe so.
Cool.
And I think if you show up like before a certain time, you don't need a ticket. I don't really know exactly how it works, but if you buy an evening yard ticket for Sunday the 16th, that counts.
Got it.
And there may be some additional podcast tickets for that event as well. There's going to be about 200 tickets you could buy total. And obviously, if you're coming, please bring your cool car if you happen to have one. And if you don't have one, that's okay too.
There will be cool cars there.
Yeah. Speaking of classy and trashy, the most recent Are You Garbage episode, it's really funny sometimes, like how little certain people know about cars. And I just like, the podcasts I listen to are not car podcasts. I listen to history podcasts and comedy podcasts. And Segura obviously is a huge car enthusiast and knows a lot about cars. Rogan knows a bunch about cars. Like there's people who know a bunch about cars. But the AYG guys, even though there's a lot of chat about cars and driving and stuff like that, it's funny, like the things that they didn't know, like someone brought up like a Miata, and they were talking about when the Miata came out, how it was like cool for like a week and then instantly became not cool. And they were totally shocked to find out that you could buy a brand new Miata right now.
Really?
Yeah.
They didn't even know.
They were like, oh no, you can't. Like they're like, how much does a Miata cost? And their producer, Toby, was like, a new one? And they're like, new one? What do you mean? Can't get a new one. He's like, no, you can. It's like 30 grand. And like, what do you mean? They couldn't comprehend. He's like, they killed it and brought it back, right? Like they hasn't been going this whole time, right? And like these are people, they're out on the street, like presumably they've seen a fucking Miata, So.
Well, I guess Kevin lives in New York City, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how often you would see a
they're
new
fucking
Miata there.
road comics. They're touring the whole country.
True.
Even if you lived in New York City, you'd see, once a decade. You don't think you'd see?
I don't know. I think it's surprising for sure.
It's a hilarious bit of 5-minute bit of radio where these guys realize that not only can you still buy a Miata, but that they've been making them this whole time.
True.
It realizes like just how niche within a niche we can be.
Oh yeah, we are.
Like we're talking about like some pretty niche shit, but then there's like a couple levels before you get to they still make the Miata. That's like
we're like NA. We know the chassis designation, and they don't even know it exists.
Mm-hmm. I really liked the new AYG. It's very funny. We got tickets. We're gonna go see them in San Diego on the 27th. Of September. Come see AYG with us. Why are we not going to LA? Because I'll be in Germany. That's why. Current events, Aston DB12, second worst embargo ever, July 4th at 4 p.m. Pacific time. That is a horrible embargo.
Horrible for here.
Yeah, horrible for, it seems like a lot of places too, because I looked at some of the British outlets that posted their shit on the embargo, July 5th, midnight England time. Their Instagram posts had like no likes, no comments after a couple hours up.
Midnight is a weird time, even if your fan base is in the UK. I do wonder what, like, if you're Henry Catchpole or Roy Reid, what percentage of their viewers are in the United States? Because their views tend to be huge. Yeah. So I'm just curious.
It's probably a lot. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if most of the UK-based outlets have more fans in America than just the math.
More people, right?
Yeah. I mean, isn't all of England is like less than California?
Population-wise?
I think so. I think it is. It might be.
How did they control so much?
I might just be throwing out this...
67 million.
So it's probably a little more than California, but it's
California's 40.
Okay, so it's less than California and Florida.
I mean,
it's less than 2 of our states. So anyway, DB12, the video is up. I spent a lot of time filming it, and Zach spent a lot of time editing it. So please go watch it. Not just that, I think it's really good. I actually think it's. I tried to go for a Bourdain vibe.
Why is this? Sorry,
why
is this fucking... the TV unmutes itself every time I turn it off.
Stupid TV. I shot a lot. Aston also gave us a little alley-oop there with an excellent B-roll package.
Like
Shout
one
out
of the most comprehensive B-roll packages I've ever
comprehensive.
received.
Not only that, they didn't just hit the same color; it was the same license plate of the car I was
Really?
driving. They put me in the B-roll car, which is fucking
so
ace.
helpful.
Suck fucking ace. Shout out to Aston for fucking making that. The little things count. The license plates match. It's really good. So, especially because I'm so glad it was there, because it would have been really hard for me to get all the drive-bys that they got on those tight and technical French countryside roads. Just big car to be making a lot of U-turns. Seems like it's getting okay views in the first couple of hours. Please go watch it though, because we put a lot of time into these things.
Well, I have a dog in the fight, but it's a good video, and you tell a very good arc, and it's a very comprehensive story. And this is a brand new big step for Aston Martin. Because, man, like, I'm such an Aston fan that when I would drive the bad cars, I'd go, am I wrong?
Yeah.
Is it me? And then you go, no, why is the back wheeling around this corner? Like, that was the DB11 issue.
Yeah.
And then the button thing. The center stack in this...
It's very nice.
It's great. It looks like you could put it in a Porsche or whatever, and that's great. You want to hear that.
Someone benchmarked like the Panamera or the Bentley GT, basically.
It's got that same kind of high center that they were really known for.
The powertrain is excellent. The engine is completely behind the front axle. Yes, it is a somewhat of a shared motor, based on Mercedes architecture. They change a lot. He's got a different compression ratio. He's got different turbos, different cams. Does that really change how it feels compared to how it feels in a Mercedes? Like, it's subtle.
This makes peak torque at like 3,000 RPM, which is a little higher than Mercedes. Did you notice that being a thing, or
I did.
Feeling it?
When you went to launch it. Got to take a quick break from the action, folks, to talk about BlackVue, the best dash cams around. I love these BlackVue dash cams. Whenever I go on a road trip, I hook this thing up and run it. They've got so many, but the new one we want to talk about is the DR970X 2-channel LTE cam. It makes it easy for you and your vehicle to stay connected anytime, anywhere. The BlackVue DR970X 2-channel LTE offers superb 4K Ultra HD image quality and easy LTE connectivity with the built-in SIM reader. It's got 2 cameras, front and rear, and the front camera capturing that detailed 4K Ultra HD footage, and the rear camera providing excellent clarity in any lighting conditions. Then, with the free BlackVue app, you get Wi-Fi or cloud connection with impact notifications and live view, and those videos download directly to your mobile device. With native parking mode, it can be hardwired to your vehicle's fuse panel, automatically switching to parking mode when the ignition turns off. And when you combine it with BlackVue Cloud, parking mode allows for real-time event video uploads to the cloud, so you're protected in case of break-ins. Additionally, the dash cam functions as a Wi-Fi hotspot for up to 5 devices, providing internet access on the go. You can experience the best 4K dash cam protection as well as superior cloud connectivity with the DR970X 2-channel LTE from BlackVue. So, all you got to do is go to blackvue.com. That's BlackVue.com/TST to learn more about the DR970X 2-channel LTE dash cam. Use code TIRE, promo code TIRE, to get 10% off any BlackVue dash cam or parking mode accessory, plus free shipping for orders over $200. Thank you to BlackVue for sponsoring today's show. And now back to it. Because it's a torque converter and not a dual clutch, there's only so much it lets you brake boost it. And so even when you do a launch, it doesn't launch from peak torque. It engages and then it comes up a little bit. So it's not the it's not a it's got a bunch of torque but it's not. It doesn't have that Mercedes like muscle car-y shove where it feels like a lot of the AMG cars. It feel like they make power up top, but it feels like they're designed to like really make a shove at like 1,800 RPM, and this doesn't have that. But it's nice to rev. It's nice to drive. It's nice in automatic mode. It's nice in manual mode. The gearbox is very responsive. The suspension re-engineering is really, really good. One of the things they've done is they've added a wet mode in the traction in the drive modes. You've got wet, GT, Sport, and Sport Plus. Before it was just GT, Sport, and Sport Plus, and wet was built into the GT.
So does that mean that GT was kind of neutered or
the GT mode was super neutered before? Now the GT is moved up, and everything else also moves up.
Wait, is there comfort too?
No,
so
GT is comfort.
Right.
Yeah, GT is comfort. But that even is much better than it was before.
Cool.
The traction control isn't as like super invasive even in GT mode. This one had ceramic brakes. The one I drove, none of the cars there had the steel brakes. They all had ceramics. So nobody knows what the steel brakes are like. But the ceramics were great. There's the build quality was superb. The fit and finish. These were press cars, so light grain of salt, but still really nicely done. And I compared in the video. I compared it to the Bentley GT Speed and the Ferrari 812. Truth be told, the price is closer to the Ferrari Roma than the 812, but it was really that sort of super tourer.
Yeah.
Marketing thing that made me roll my eyes like into the back of my fucking head. That's why I use the 812 as the comparison and not the Roma.
Because the 812 is a supercar engine, but in a grand touring layout sort of. So that's where you're going to go with that term.
Yeah, it was like the top of the line front engine car, really. But dollar for dollar with the Roma, I'd probably rather have the Aston.
Ooh.
They both drive beautifully,
but
the haptic shit in the Roma would be like because that'd be an everyday car.
The whole interior is really annoying.
Yeah, it was terrible. So like this is much more usable. I'd much rather have this as a daily.
How is this steering in this versus the Roma? Roma is light as most Ferraris
light
are.
and the really quick steering. The Roma is like really quick steering. This was halfway between that and the Bentley.
Oh,
it was good.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
It's good.
Okay.
They do not use rear steer. They said they put it in a prototype and they didn't like how it felt. It felt kind of like slidey, like Mercedes' rear steer. And I told the head engineer, like Mercedes does it badly and Porsche does it really well. And he said, but there's other things about Porsche that make that rear steer work as well as it does. The fact that it's like rear engine, it sort of helps. And
even in the Cayenne though, the Turbo GT we drove, their rear steer was calibrated really well.
Yeah.
And pretty much invisible.
Yeah.
And the Hummer EV also.
Right.
I was shocked, but I drove that S-Class and it felt, you could feel the back moving around.
They said, the Aston people said it made a difference when you were like making U-turns. But for everything but that scenario, it handled just fine without it. And they didn't want to add the weight and the complexity when there wasn't, it didn't seem like there was a lot of return. Which
I agree with that decision.
That's fine. No problem for me there.
Yeah.
And the new tire, it's got the new Michelin PS S5, not 5S, S5, which is a real nomenclature fuck up from Michelin. I mean, why you
P4
PS4S to PSS5?
Oh, it's PSS5 now?
Yeah, not 5S.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Did they get sued by PlayStation?
I don't know. Oh, that would be interesting. It's a different genre of product, so I don't know. But I don't know why they did it, but it stinks. And I messed it up in the first take in the video. I had to redo it. But the new tire is very nice. Tons of grip. I wasn't like sliding the thing around, but it had a lot of grip. It felt really nice. It was quiet, rode well. 21s on a sports car.
Good.
And still rode well.
I mean, I say good because I feel like we've driven a bunch of cars in the last month that had 22s and 3s. I think the S-Class did. Like the more we delve into the luxury, or of course SUVs, they put the bigger brakes on, but then they put the bigger wheels on, and then the ride usually suffers.
Yeah.
So,
but overall, I think, as I said in the video, pretty much the most well-rounded Aston I've driven in a very, very long time, since like the 2016 Vanquish, which was a naturally aspirated, but then when they put the 8-speed gearbox, that was very well-rounded. This is the best since that.
And I agree with a point you made in the video that the 2015-16 Vanquish had a really pretty center console.
Stack, yeah.
It was a nice mix of like buttons that look capacitive and knobs and stuff, and then after that it fell apart.
Yeah. So please go watch the video. It is up on the channel right now, and I think I told a nice little story about the Aston and driving it around the south of France. And so there's that. Also, what else happened? Oh, fuck me. I feel the need to address the change that we made because I've gotten a couple very angry letters from people. And granted, it's not a huge percentage of people, but I think people don't understand why we switched to mid-roll ads on this podcast.
Oh, okay.
For 12 years, the first 12 years of the show, I made a decision to put the ads up front. And I did that for a very obvious reason, so they'd be easy to skip. So it was a charity piece to all of you guys. My thought process was we're being paid to put these here. We'll put them here, but we're going to make it easy for the audience if they want to skip them. Great. Slowly over time, almost all the other podcasts, not almost, all the other podcasts that I listened to went from up front to mid-roll.
Which I believe was driven by advertisers that know that people were skipping the first 7 minutes of the show.
Correct. It was a combination of people who would go in the YouTube comments and post the start time, who I must have banned 500 of those people from commenting. People didn't get the hint. They kept doing it. But also, advertisers have detailed analytical tools now, which is how we get ads in the first place. We have to enter our feed into this system, which our ad sales people do for us. It's a hands-off thing. And they know not just how many people download the show, but what they skip, what they listen to, which parts of the show are listened to and which parts are skipped. And fucking shocker, they realized that people were skipping the whole ad blocks. Well, like 3 months ago, all of our advertisers left. All of them. 100% of the ads were canceled because of this specific thing. So if there's no ads, there's no show. I hope people understand that. Like, we enjoy our work, but like, it's work. It needs if you deliver something for free, there needs to be ads. That's what the social contract is of modern media. And we tried as long as we could to make it the ads something that were, up front and as easily, and we did it as long as that would sustain itself, but it sustained itself no longer. So our ad sales people came back and said, look, the only way these advertisers are going to come back is if you do mid-roll. That's it. No ads, and you have a hobby, or ads mid-roll, and you can have a job. And so we said, okay. It wasn't like, hey, Matt, you can get 10% more money if you do mid-roll. It wasn't like, hey, Matt, you can get 50% more money. It was, you can have a career or you can have a hobby. That was the choice. So that's why we did it. We waited till the very last minute until literally everyone left. And it's like breaking embargo. We're not going to be the first person to break an embargo, but if everyone else breaks the embargo, we're not going to be the last people either. And so whether it's not Rogan, because Rogan has his Spotify thing now.
But Spotify drops them in the middle.
Spotify drops them in the middle.
And if you skip them and then try to rewind to the part you missed, they're very clever.
They make
it will
you
then drop
listen.
you back into a new ad.
Right. Yeah. That's the Hulu. Hulu does that too. Segura, The Dollop, AYG, Spike. I mean, literally every podcast I listen to does mid-roll. So if people... and again, the majority of people understand this. But I've gotten just enough emails from people that have just enough vitriol in them. People are fucking angry that we're doing this. And like, you need to understand, like, we only do stuff like that. Same thing with like multiple ads on YouTube, you know, or it's like, we didn't choose to do that system. Like, that system decided, the software said, we're going to give you less money per ad, but you can now place 5 ads throughout the video. And like, we weren't the first people to do it. It wasn't until we were like, hey, fucking Freddie and VinWiki and blah, 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 blah. They're all doing this already. And then we're like, oh, well, if everyone else is doing it, we're not going to be the fucking martyrs over here.
Yeah, because we were worried that people, we didn't like it, and we were worried that people would not like it and watch other things. And then our YouTube analyst said, well, it hasn't hurt the viewership of these other channels.
Yeah.
It's just because if you watch any YouTube channel anywhere, you're going to go, oh, this is just what's happened. YouTube has just implemented this.
This is how the system is. And so, like, with podcasts, like, I don't like listening to ads. No one likes listening to ads. Like, nobody does. Everyone wishes they could have a totally ad-free experience, which we offer with the Patreon, by the way. No YouTube ads, no me yapping ads, no ads with the Patreon. But not that everyone needs to know the nuts and bolts of how the job works to every little bit, but like, what seems pretty obvious to us, which is just that this is how content delivery works now, and it's like a systematic thing. It's not just like our choice to be greedy. We're so rarely greedy. We're like pretty minimally greedy.
Yeah, we're pretty bad at that part of the job.
Yeah, like we don't like sneak sponsored content in and try to pretend like it's editorial, like everybody wants us to do. We don't make the guests sit here while I read an ad like other people do. Like, I understand that some people might find that to be less, quote, jarring than cutting away to an ad, but like, I'm not going to make the guests sit there and listen to an ad, and I'm not going to take away from a good conversation and go, let me stop the show right now to read this ad. And oh, by the way, where were we? It's just, I just hope that by explaining it, people will understand that like the systems, the software, the people who pay always want to get the most for their money, whether that's YouTube or these other advertisers. And so, yeah, it's annoying for you. That's because the advertisers want it to be. They don't want you to skip the ad. They want you to listen to the ad. And like, they're going to figure out that we need their ad money. Otherwise, we can't do the show. And so all I'm saying is, if there's a content creator that you like, but you don't like the format of their ads, and if otherwise they're doing pretty good by you, like, just don't complain to them about it. They're doing their best. Like, we're just trying to pay the bills over here. Yeah. And like, we don't need sympathy. Like, we don't, it's not like we're like, oh, poor us. But it's like, this is just how this system works. I know I have fancy cars. You don't need to feel bad for me. But like, but like, literally the advertisers left. We went from like a record ad sales year to zero in a matter of about 3 months. And that's why.
That was a little scary.
Yeah, because all those advertisers that were buying all that shit were like, we bought all this shit. And like, oh, by the way, everyone skipped over it. So that's you know, if you really want to be supportive, listen all the way through. Somebody will see it. It will move the needle.
Or join the Patreon. It's cheap, and you don't have to listen to any ads ever. So I don't know if that's a rant or an explanation. I'm not trying to be a bitch, but like, I've dealt with the same angry email enough times now that I feel like there isn't a clear understanding about how the system works. Because I don't know, because I'm on the inside of the system, so it seemed kind of obvious to me that was what was happening, but maybe not, Shout out to Joey Coco Diaz. I just finished his book, Tremendous. I finished it in 24 hours. That's how great of a fucking book it is. 225 pages. I finished it in 24 hours. Blasted through it. It is tremendous. He's a fucking maniac. Yeah.
His life is crazy.
It is insane.
Yeah.
He has the nuttiest stories that he tells very well in all of his comedy.
Yeah.
But holy shit. He
didn't just do a couple of crimes. He did a lot of crimes. I mean, he talks about, like, in the book, there's probably 50 or 60 individual robberies he mentions.
Holy shit.
The details of in the books.
No way.
He stole a lot of things from a lot of people. Yeah.
He's like the most honest criminal ever.
Yeah. And it was an interesting, a very interesting story of him going from, and it's not like he was a criminal because he was a bad guy. He was a junkie. And he just kept getting that cycle of being.
He was on coke?
Oh, yeah. All the coke.
I mean, he talks about coke a lot, but I didn't know if he was also on heroin or something else. Okay. Yeah.
There's one point that's very funny in the book where he's trying to figure out how to get off coke, and he realizes that if he snorts heroin, he doesn't want coke. And he actually wrote some letter to, like, the FDA talking about how he thinks heroin should
Love
be.
That's the most cocaine letter I've ever heard of.
The shit he did while on drugs was, like, crazy. He called the cops on himself like 5 times.
Oh man, can I borrow that book from you?
Yeah, I got it from the library.
Oh, okay.
So
I can get a library.
Hannah. I was buying so many books, and I like buying books. I like supporting the authors and all that kind of stuff. But Hannah was like, "You're buying so many fucking books," and she was buying books too. And the books that she was buying, like 50% of them, she didn't like.
Right.
And she'd feel bad about bailing on them, like 50 pages in. She was like, "This book sucks."
But I paid for it.
But I bought it.
Cost fallacy.
And so she joined the library, which not rocket science to do. And so now we've been getting books from the library. I almost had a fucking panic attack because I thought Henry Graybar, who we're having on the podcast tomorrow, who wrote Paved Paradise, library book. Brought it to France, thought I left it in the hotel room.
Oh my God,
I was like,
that fine will be thousands of dollars.
I thought
no, it probably. I mean,
no, it wasn't. It would be like $40, but still, like my biggest problem is that I treat all inconveniences as equally deserving of a panic attack.
Yeah.
Hannah reminds me of this all the time, and I was like, I fucking left the book. She's like, if you did, it's like $40. Like it's okay. It'll be as if you bought it, and then
right. But then the librarian would never let you in the building again. Or like
the library by us, it has a due date, but there's no late fees. So, like, if you bring it back late, they're like,
Like, did you read? Good. Right,
yeah,
that's nice.
Pretty much.
I know that some library memberships in California also give you free access to state parks.
There's a bunch of there's a bunch of benefits. Yeah, there's side benefits to the library card. Yes, there are.
And free audio books, and of course, it's good stuff.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff you can get with the library card. I recommend the library card. There was like 4 people in line for Tremendous. The intersection of Joey Diaz fans with library cards. You ever think you'd find that?
Is there cocaine residue in the pages? You shake
Why
the book
is this
out
plastic
and
cover so scratched
you
up?
open it and
yeah. I left. It's like a pay it forward thing. I left the gram in there for somebody.
Sisterhood of the Traveling Cocaine. That guy is something else.
Oh God, it's a funny ass story. I cannot recommend it highly enough. A couple other people emailed me, somewhat pedantically, in my description of the Audi Q8 e-tron from last week. Apparently, I said that the Audi doesn't have regen braking, which I meant in a casual way. What I meant literally was it doesn't have a one-pedal drive mode.
Oh.
So it does recuperate some power when you hit the brakes. It has a regenerative capacity, and when you brake using the pedal, it recovers some energy. But it does not have a one-pedal drive. This is one of the things with EVs, is the terms, you can't use casual language with an EV. If you say kilowatt instead of kilowatt hours, or if you say it doesn't have a regen instead of saying it doesn't have a one-pedal drive, you can't be casual with some of this stuff. And, like, I get it, but, like, leave me the fuck alone. But
I mean, when you said it, I also thought it just didn't regen at all. I was like, that's an interesting choice.
That's like all AC powered EVs, like a basic old school DC. Like when I drove that electric DeLorean prototype, the one that's now in the lobby of Google.
Yeah.
That was a DC motor. DCs do not have any regen. It's just
no capability.
Battery to motor to out. All AC powered pretty much does have some kind of regen. It's just, does it have a one pedal system where it defaults to recover when you take your foot off the gas, or does it have a coast and it regenerates when you hit the brake? Audi and Porsche.
So the Audi and Porsche, they don't activate. You don't reduce your speed until you touch the brake pedal.
Correct. That's what I meant to say. If I used the wrong words, I'm sorry, but I was being a little more casual in my conversation, and some of the nerds took that as offense. All modern electric vehicles that you can buy have a regenerative capacity. It's just, is it activated by the brake? Is it activated by taking your foot off the accelerator pedal, or some combination of the two?
Right. And then some will not slow you down to zero even when you lift off the brake, the throttle pedal. So that's like a third option.
Yeah. Going back to the Ford after the Audi, one pedal driving is such a nice thing to have in an electric car.
Do you, I was talking to a bunch of the journalists on the Lotus thing because we were just talking about what we like in EVs, and a lot of us like the one pedal driving thing, but someone was commenting that their mom has an EV and doesn't use that system very much. Like, they like going to the brake pedal.
Yeah.
Have you talked to either Hannah or your parents? Like,
Hannah turns it off.
Okay.
Every time I get in the car, I set my seat, I set the mirror, and then I activate one pedal driving.
So why does she not like it? I'm just curious. No judgment.
She just doesn't. It just doesn't. It feels too different from what she's used to. She wants electric driving to come to where she's at. She doesn't want to change her behavior. And like, it's one toggle switch. It's great that both are available. So it's not a big deal that the car has both.
I wonder if it's a thing where people that drive cars with manual transmissions more frequently are into one pedal because you're used to, downshift, let off both pedals, reducing speed. Like, we're kind of used to that timing and sensation. I don't know. Or we just like the game of, can I time it right, where I lift my foot and it comes to a stop? Yeah,
I'd love to see what the cross-section is of people who prefer one pedal and what their history and experience is with cars versus people who don't like it, and what their experience has been with cars. I think that could make sense. People who use the gearbox to slow the car down, who are used to that, might like it better. I just think if we're going to go computer driving, like, let's just go all the way. Let's go all the way to computer driving. Like,
I like it. I don't know why I like it. I think it's a little bit of a game of, will I time this correctly? And I hope I'm not using the brake pads, brake dust, carcinogens, all that stuff. And also just reducing wearables is awesome. The fact that you can slow down without having to change out your brake pads every 6 months is sweet.
And in the Ford and in Teslas, the regenerative braking is very predictable, and it's very easy to get. I almost never use the brakes in the Ford at all. It's very easy to judge your slowing down, how fast it scrubs speed and where it will come to a complete stop. I could easily come to a complete stop right where I want to without using the brakes. It's not very hard. But Hannah just doesn't like it because it's just different from the other stuff she drives. So
cool. Okay.
That's all I really have on my list. Did you had some links up on the show? Was there something about the military Hummer that you had?
No, that's old.
Oh, that's just old.
But
did you have some update of something?
Well, there's a Mercedes story.
Oh,
you saw that.
Yeah.
And then
the irony of this, Mercedes, the new S-Class could have a yoke and more physical buttons at the same time. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right?
That's Brussels sprouts with bacon. I use that reference too much, I just realized. But this is a funny thing of 1 step forward, 1 step backwards. I like the button look, though.
We will probably get to a point where, and probably not very far away, where variable ratio steer-by-wire is a reality and safe and dependable.
Yeah, probably.
We've stopped talking about brake-by-wire.
Yes.
We bitched about brake-by-wire for like a year or so and then kind of stopped. And now most people, even enthusiasts, are not likely to know if their car has a brake-by-wire system or not.
True. And I mean, like the new NSX has it, and the new Type S has it.
The Corvette has it.
Yeah,
And the C8
and it like you have consistent pedal pedal pressure, not necessarily feel, but they can tune it to make it feel like the brakes grab really early or really late and all that shit. It's the same with steering. You can program all these things, but even I guess we'll see as they develop it. If it gets good enough where all you have to do is turn your hands 90 degrees and never do hand over hand, I guess the question is that better somehow? Or is it worse, or does it not really matter? Is it just the way you operate it,
Yeah, I'd love to try a prototype and see if it's intuitive or not.
Drive the one Toyota made, right?
To me, it seems like solving a problem that doesn't exist. But Mercedes is also the first company to come out with a level 3 system. Mm-hmm. And so at least if you're going to imply that you don't need to steer so much, that at least they're the only ones who are selling a system where you don't have to pay attention for periods of time. So there's that.
But that's the same thing Tesla did. I mean, Tesla's system wasn't as good, but Tesla was like, well, you won't need to drive this.
They implied that, but in the fine print they said you absolutely need to drive that. And they implied you won't have to in the future, but the tech wasn't remotely there.
Right.
Mercedes is actually putting the horse before the cart.
And then telling you about the cart later.
Right.
That's true.
So if they go fleet-wide level 3, and then they start taking the normal steering wheels away with full steer-by-wire, at least that's the correct order.
Yeah, it'll be weird. Like, if you're going 30 miles an hour and you need to take a left bend, you just turn the wheel like 15 degrees. But then if you come to a stop and have to turn into a parking lot, do you then just turn it like 20 degrees and it adjusts by speed? I assume it does. And someone mentioned correctly, Lexus has this in one of their cars. I don't know if it's a prototype. Fenske drove it.
It was a prototype.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not actually for sale right now.
He said it was imperfect, but they're taking steps. And
Fenske is very charitable with his criticisms of stuff too. He will not call something a flaming shitbox, but if he says it's imperfect, that's what he means.
No, yeah, he pointed out very specifically, like, this is good, this is bad. He had some really good shots showing the difference in degrees and how it wasn't consistent. It's a really good video.
But the problem with variable ratio steering, where you're never designed to go more than 90 degrees, is that there's going to be an inherent limit to where you can't go more. If you reach 90 degrees and the system is programmed so that it's not, quote, safe to turn the wheel more than a certain number of degrees, right, for your speed. Like in a regular car, like let's say you wanted to, for some reason, crank the wheel super hard to avoid something, or if you're at a racetrack and we're talking about, yes, you're going to induce understeer, or what, you're not going to have an effective response, but it's still you doing a thing. Mm-hmm. You're still pushing the car past that limit. But if they put artificial limits to steering angle based on, well, it has to work with this 90 degrees to 90 degrees at this given speed, there will be a limit beyond which you will no longer have control.
Yeah, I threw out 90 as just without any sort of evidence, but I was just thinking, if you were going to go beyond that, why wouldn't you keep it round? Because otherwise, reaching across and finding a gap is kind of strange.
Right.
But I don't know if they'll have speed limits on the thing, or if it'll do what you say. Like if you were driving in the snow. Let's say you're going 40 miles per hour on a snowy road legally and all that stuff, and all of a sudden it kicked out and you have to countersteer. I would hope that they think about that. I'm sure they will, and then the car will let you, countersteer.
Yeah, and the intuitiveness of it has to be perfectly dialed in, because you're literally changing how people interact with this machine in a way that is not necessarily natural.
Yeah. But all of these things, I think they probably look at the number of cases of, countersteer required versus miles driven. And it's like, well, if 0.004% needs countersteer and this saves us money or makes us a leader in the space with this new technology, et cetera, then they're going to go with it.
I think it's solving a problem that isn't the problem. The argument that I've heard for eliminating mechanical steering is that the physical steering column could injure you, whereas a total steer-by-wire system offers a better crumple zone in a crash. Which, okay, I'll hear that. That's fine. You're making the car safer in terms of a crash. But God, do I hate when they take away intuitive. I mean, just think about the recent Audi RS5 we drove, and then the S7, which was like not steer by wire, but it was like super electric steering, highly variable ratio versus the fixed ratio of the RS5. You don't need to be an enthusiast, really, to drive those two cars and know which one is like better and more intuitive.
I think with our palate, or maybe that's the wrong way to say it, what we like in a car, yes, but you know, if someone's 60, let's just a little ageist, but whatever, someone who might go, I like this, the effort's lower on this car, on this steering wheel than on this other one. There's some people that like that. They want the thing to be like LS 400s and 600s. Those things are super overboosted, and we might go, oh, there's not a lot of steering feel here, but the shopper doesn't give a shit. They want it to be really easy to turn.
Yeah.
It's funny, though. It's interesting that we look back at the cars in the early 1900s, like 1902, 3, 4, 5, 6, and, oh, the pedals are over here. We're like, isn't that weird? Look at how it changed. And then we've kind of had this steady system and layout for 80 years, maybe 100 years.
Since
and
the
now
30s?
It's since the 30s. And now it's like starting to shift again a little bit.
Yeah, I think they should make the machine come to where we're at and not make us relearn how to drive for a new machine. I don't think that's too much to ask, and I don't think that I'm being like a grouchy old man by saying that.
I wonder, it'd be cool to talk to an engineer or find out what the stats are on, you know, front-end collisions and where the level of injury is deemed very high due to... Because we have collapsible steering columns.
Yeah.
Like, that's been a thing since the 50s, 60s.
That's fucking,
like,
Ralph, that's unsafe at any
I know.
speed is where that comes from.
So,
they used to have things that looked like torpedoes in the
I
center
drove
of
one.
the steering wheel.
Yeah. Like, remember the spiker wheel, granted, collapsible steering column, but that was incredibly dangerous. You looked at that and you were getting cut into 4 slices and put into an orange juice machine.
It was like 11 peeler.
Exactly. It's an apple core.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder how much injury this is promised to reduce. I don't know, because we have airbags and all that shit, but I'm sure it's still an impact. It still hurts.
Yeah. Don't know. Very interesting stuff.
So
please don't do it.
The last story I had up is my buddy Avin, who has a Alpha Giulia quad, and I make fun of him a lot.
That's the dude I met at Luft, right?
Yeah.
He was cool. I liked him.
Shout out Avin, very nice guy. But I make fun of him a lot because he has a car that he's supposed to break down frequently.
Yeah.
And he loves it. And every time I see those cars, I'm like, God, that's pretty. But so of course he sends me positive stories about Alfa Romeo when they come out, and one of the ones he had sent over, I need to find, was basically Stellantis moved up 23 places in the last year in terms of J.D. Power initial quality. So they were like 24th.
They make a lot of cars.
They do make a lot of cars.
Where is Alpha? Is Alpha singled out there?
They were just they were singled out as also moving up. Did
they move up specifically because they stopped selling Fiats in America?
That's funny. CNN. Let me pull this up really quick. It was because I opened this link and I'm like, he's going to send me some bullshit, and this will be wrong. And they did, to their credit, increase their score and move up 23 spots because they had dismal initial quality before that.
So now they went from 24th to 3rd?
I don't know. Give me 2 seconds. I had this link on the wrong thing.
Jeremy Clarkson just wrote his Times art review of a Giulia. They have some new powertrain in it that Alfa Romeo takes top spot.
Top spot.
Wow, this is from a couple days ago. What, really? How interesting.
Yeah. So what was interesting is they asked one of the bosses, like, how did you do this? Because you guys were terrible. And they said one of the ways is they reduced the number of options on cars, and then they reduced the number of combinations and then fail points. So they went from like 20, what is it?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So JD Power, doesn't just
is,
measure things that actually went wrong or broke. It also considers as problems things that customers just don't like, even if they're working fine. So that's interesting. Okay, in Alfa Romeo's case, one of the biggest steps was reducing the number of different versions and option combinations for each product. We drove down from hundreds of thousands of combinations of Stelvios and Giulias to less than 2,000 of each, greatly reducing challenges for the factory, ensuring the quality of each vehicle built. Well, that's smart.
That's a wild ratio of simplification.
But who even knew there were that many possibilities for, like, it's not like I see Alphas in like crazy color combinations or anything. Like, I thought there was a couple trims in a couple of colors and that was really it.
I mean, I think
every Alpha I see is black, white, red, gray, or blue.
Right. But I think, well, my hunch is that they also learned that people were only ordering from a certain few baskets, and they went, "Why are we offering 100,000 different combinations of interior stitching and this and this and this and this?"
Yeah.
Those are all fail points or problem points. I did clap back at him that, like, well, then you should get a new Alpha because his is a couple years old.
When they built yours, it was a 37th out of
And so this is JD Power's initial quality study, which is like when you first get your car, but cars are getting more complicated in general, so it seems like people that buy other brands, regardless of what brand it is, there's so much complication and layout and screen and all this stuff. Like, if they have trouble finding something in the screen menu, that can go on the scorecard. So it's like everything's getting more complicated, even if it's a Lexus or a Toyota that's super reliable.
Cars are in a lot of ways too complicated.
At times, yeah.
There's so many ways to do stuff. It took me. I'm more or less an expert, and it took me like 25 minutes to figure out how to turn off the lane departure thing on the Q8. Like, why did that take so long? That should be very easy to do. Like, just little stuff like that. And they really need to have dealers train really well, and also encourage people to take the time to sit there with the dealer and learn how to do that kind of stuff. Because it's complicated.
Yeah. When I drove the S-Class, I was shocked at how quickly I was using the menu, and then I realized it's because I've driven two other Mercedes before it. And I'm like, oh, I'm starting to understand how the system works. So like, if you're an owner, you'll get it, after a little bit. But initially, when we get in these, some of them are much more complicated.
Bro, the SL was like, there was way too much going on there.
Yeah. And the EQEs and S's, like, the hyperscreen, it makes it more complicated for me. Yeah.
I really hate, to go back to the Mercedes with the Yoke, I hated it when Tesla said it, and I hate it that it was in this article with Mercedes, that they're one of the reasons for going with the Yoke is to make the screen easier to see. Like, if you need to take off the top half of the steering wheel to see the gauge cluster, you've designed the gauge cluster badly. Like, other people don't have a problem with this. I drive cars with round steering wheels all the time, and I can see everything I need to see in the gauge cluster. It could be an Audi, it could be an Aston Martin, it could be a Range Rover, it could be a Hyundai.
Yeah.
And I can see through the round wheel in the gauge cluster.
Right, but the business case is that now regardless of your height, you'll be able to see everything. Because sometimes we've driven cars where I can't see something and you can, or vice versa.
That's true.
Yeah.
Also, a badly designed gauge cluster.
You can more information down
fix
low.
The problem of designing the gauge cluster better without having. It's one of the things I find to be very nice about the Tesla Model 3. You hear that, Tesla people? I'm going to say something nice about a Tesla. Is actually because there is no gauge pod. Because I like my steering wheel real low because I have short T-Rex arms, long torso, short. So I like a low steering wheel. I can put that steering wheel wherever the fuck I want, and it does not affect the vision of the speedometer and those other things. Now, granted, they're not in the right place. They're over here on the side.
Well, that's why I think the mach-e move is smart, and the Lotus Electre, which these are photos, I'm not breaking embargo, has the same thing. Most information is on the big screen in the middle, but mach-e and Lotus, you have the little thing in front of you that can never be hidden by the steering wheel unless the airbag is deployed. And you just hit there. That's your speedometer, your speed limit, and like your cruise control. And that's great.
Yeah, and your range.
And your range.
Yeah. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But screens are cheap, and it's like, and you can fill a dash with them, and people go, wow. But you're actually saving money because you're building less physical gauges and dash and aluminum work and stuff. And so by emphasizing more and more screens, you get to actually cheapen out. Yeah. By not having to build other things there.
Well, and then you would think that, I'm sure there are people that work in these interior departments and their only job is to arrange the layout of that gauge cluster. So like what information is the most important and needs to be seen by the widest spread of people regardless of their height. Mm-hmm. And so most of the time we all can see the crucial stuff, but every now and then we'll get in a car where the speed limit, which it's supposed to detect as you pass these signs, sometimes is hidden behind the steering wheel. Mm-hmm. And you're like, that is one of the most crucial pieces of information that this car can present.
Oh, dude, Lamborghini, when I had the Urus Performante, they have a digital gauge cluster in the middle. All Lambos have a digital gauge cluster. But the temperature and the fuel levels are outside the digital cluster on the very edge of the binnacle. And in fact, are totally hidden by the steering wheel, which is how I ended up almost running the car dry. Because someone, and it's not a big deal, usually these cars come full of gas. Somebody fucked up at Lambo. They didn't fill it before they brought it to me. And the thing was on 10 miles to empty. But because I didn't...
That's like one highway blast.
It was, it was not great. And the fact that the steering wheel blocks the fuel gauge, I didn't notice it at first. And then Hannah took the car out, and she's like, there's no gas in this. She's like, she almost ran it dry.
And I wonder, I'm sure the car has a warning that pops up, but it may have popped up on the drive over before you guys got it, and you hit OK.
Yeah, it did
and
not.
then it clears that away.
It didn't, so it was, whoops.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so you got to make sure the fuel gauge or your range gauge.
It's hard. There's so many things. Because now you can change, the right side gauge, you can select you want to see your GPS or your range and your trip information and whatnot.
I'd rather just give me one screen to do the things that need to be on a screen. Real gauge. I mean, they're never going back. I'm beating a dead horse.
Right.
But God, I want regular ass gauges. I don't want a glowing thing in my face at night.
Yeah.
I feel like it's fucking my eyes up.
Yeah, it could be.
Compared to old school gauges?
Well, our time because I went and saw the optometrist 2 months ago, and it's my proximity to screens and the frequency and duration at which I use them. She's like, yeah, your eyes are having to focus at very close distance a long time and being exposure, and the brightness of a screen with darkness behind it, that contrast challenges your eyes a lot too. Yeah. I feel like it was nice when heads-up display is nice, and then maybe in the beginning when they had 2 analog dials and a little screen in the middle that could show your turn by turn, and that was enough.
Yeah, I don't need a glowing screen in front of my face, especially when I'm driving at night.
Yeah.
It's not.
If you can't dim it significantly, it is really annoying.
And if the blacks aren't black, you need a good screen for the blacks to be black.
Yeah.
Aston Martin was all about the blacks of their new screens on there, which I didn't drive it at night, so I couldn't actually verify their claim. But they say that the blacks are very black.
All right.
So let's go to the Patreon. Of course, patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Get the show early. Get it without ads, folks. Get it without ads. We're offering it to you cheap. Never sit through an ad again. And, of course, ask us questions for the live show and be the first to be able to purchase the Smoking Tire watch collab with Notice watches, which I'm wearing right now. This beautiful mint green. Nice. Mint green, baby, for the winter. I talked about it on the Pro Driver show. I also have some Instagram posts about this watch, limited to 100 pieces, individually numbered. Whoa. And we're going to be giving one away with a trip to Los Angeles. It's going to be fun. All right. We got a bunch, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, cool. Christian, update on replacing the Mach-e. Lease isn't up until first week of April 2024. Both Ford, we may replace it with another Mach-e. We were looking at possibly the new forthcoming Acura EV, but it's not going to be available yet. Volvo XC60 Recharge They said if I wanted one for April delivery, I should order it by the end of September. So we still have a little bit of decisions to make and time to make it. Nothing else on the leaderboard.
Lotus Electric.
Can you talk about the price of that vehicle yet, or no? It's
they
expensive,
hadn't announced
right?
U.S. pricing. Yeah, it's expensive.
It's expensive.
It's at least twice what you paid for the
Oh
mach-e,
yeah, okay.
so.
That's not. I mean,
I threw it out as like kind of a joke.
Even if we get this Volvo, it would be at the upper end of what we are willing to pay for a daily driver. In order to get the recharge with the air suspension and the wool interior, you have to buy the top trim one, which is like $75,000. It's expensive. Mm-hmm. It's really more than I would want to spend on a daily driver, compared to replacing the Mach-E, which we'd get the same one, which is like $55,000, significantly cheaper. Still a lot of money, but those are on the leaderboard now. And God, I loved that air suspension and that wool interior. That shit is nice.
Yeah, looks good. Rides
That's
nice.
real nice. Mm-hmm. Although, interestingly, if I get the XC90...
You should sell 500 watches.
Right? If we got the XC90 recharge, not the 60, which we do not need.
Right, you don't.
We don't need a 3-row SUV. Tax deductible. I could take advantage of the tax thing that I complain about.
Was
all
it
the
first
time.
year depreciation?
The 6,000, yeah, you could depreciate the entire purchase price in the first year.
That's insane.
Which, given that I've opened a second store, would be maximally beneficial. But I don't want to do it. I don't want. It's more car than I need. I don't believe in buying more car than I need.
Why?
I do not need a 3-row
Do you know why
SUV.
that law exists if you're not buying it as a company?
You have to buy it as a company.
Oh, you have to buy it as a
Yeah,
company.
you have to buy it. It's a business expense.
Oh, okay.
But like, we're a business here.
Right.
Business owns the fucking Ford.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's not because it doesn't have the weight thing. It's not. You can't depreciate the first
I thought
year.
if the business owned it, it had to be only used for business purposes, or you have to log your miles for like this is business, this is not business.
It's kind of a gray area. I mean, you do have to submit a report every year that shows how many miles are for business and how many miles are for personal use. But like, it's not something that they are capable of like tracking.
Right.
All
and they
the
just
time.
pull a lot of funding out of the IRS for that.
And like,
with the new bill.
yeah,
So,
and like so much of our work is business anyway. Like, it's whatever. Nobody Beats the Wiz says using Turo for the first time in San Diego to rent a high-end EV. The skeptic. Oh, we'll come back to that other one. The skeptic side of me keeps remembering. I've read some Turo horror stories, such as owners fabricating renter damage, car being misrepresented, etc., etc. Owner seems nice. I prepaid for charging and added extra coverage. Beyond that, tips or thoughts on Turo? Turo is a great thing if you want to drive a specific vehicle that is not normally available from a rental car agency. But it's like just like Airbnb, wherein you're dealing with a person and a specific thing. And so if it goes wrong, it's not like you can just go, the tires on this Ford Mustang are flat. I'm leaving it. I want that Ford Mustang instead. And they go, okay, and give you another one. There's not a lot of like recourse if the car is misrepresented. You know, Turo, the service, will probably refund your money, but like now you don't have a car.
Right.
So it's not like, you know, you go to a hotel room and it smells funny. You go, I want a different room. And they go, okay, they switch a different room. It's not like, well, then get out of the hotel and you're out on the street with your suitcase.
Yeah.
So so check over the car, make sure the tires are good.
Take photos of the car before and when you drop it off. That's the way you prevent yourself from being dinged by damage that they find after you've left.
Yeah.
So do that.
The only real issues I've seen before, I've never personally experienced someone who's gotten blamed for damage that they didn't do, but the photos for sure. But check the tires. I've definitely had people who come to West Side. They want a tour. They're in LA. They've rented an M3 for the weekend on Turo, and they want to stop in for a tour. And there's 3 different kinds of tires on the M3, and it's like, you know, whatever. It's just shitty. And they go, well, you know, I'll fix it later. But like, you now have this shady experience. So that's pretty much what I would be concerned about. Tim A. said Zach's S63 review prompted the question, is it preferable to make a sports car luxurious Oh, is it more preferable to make a sports car luxurious than make a luxury car into a performance vehicle? I would say it's preferable to make a sports car luxurious because sports cars are often light and agile and pretty, and you could add luxurious materials and better seats and stuff like that. Where if you make a luxury car into a performance vehicle, you start with a heavy car, and then you have to spring it really stiff. You have to put a ton of power, a ton of brakes, a ton of spring rate in there to make it do what you want to do, and you've ended up with a very heavy car.
I think you also, if you start with a really luxurious car, it's hard to remove the things that make it luxurious in the process of trying to turn it into a good sports car. Like, the S-Class has, amazing massage seats and all of these things people have come to expect from a luxury sedan. And if you want to try to make it really sporty, what you need to do is take the weight out. But then people go, well, it's missing all of these things I like. Whereas if you take, like a 911, I think the Dakar is actually a good example. You've taken this thing that has a good structure. It's got a really solid structure because it's a good sports car. And then you have turned it into something that is quite different from what it originated as by adding suspension and adding these different accoutrements to it. But few people are going to complain that you took the sportiness out of it because you've really just added some more things. And if they don't like that it's heavier, they still sell the light one over there. Yeah. But I don't think you compromise the vehicle as much going the direction you said as if you try to go from luxury to sporty.
Yeah, I'd rather own the luxurious version of a sports car than the sporty version of a luxury car anytime. Yeah, I'd rather have a 911 with comfort seats and extended leather package than an SL Mercedes or an S-Class coupe with 700 horsepower and a stiff suspension and 22-inch wheels.
And if you took the S-Class and then took out all the nice stuff to make it a really sporty sedan for some reason, well, now I just have a gigantic sports car that's too big. So I'd rather go get something smaller anyway.
Yeah. Aaron was responding to the other guy's Turo question. Lucas says, nostalgia drives classic car purchases. Do you think younger generations will be less nostalgic for the past, being that their young lives are so much better documented than ours? No, I don't really think so. I think that the nostalgia for a car is driven by either the car you wanted when you were a kid and couldn't afford, and I think that's still the case. I don't think Instagram and phones and multiplayer video games and connectivity negate that. If you're a young enthusiast who can't afford a car at 16, you'll probably want that car when you're 40 or 50. And or getting an idealized version of the car you did have when you were a kid. So if you're a young person right now and you've got a 3 or 4 year old Honda Civic Si, you may want the mintest Honda Civic Si around in that many. And also if manual transmissions are totally gone by the time you're at car collecting age, you may want a manual transmission. If V8s are totally gone by the time you may still want to have nostalgia for the V8. If you might want the car that your dad took you home from the hospital in.
Yeah. It's nostalgia, I think, is just based on really, it's like dopamine you got when you had an experience when you were younger, and you have a strong association with that experience. So riding in a car with your dad, or we went to certain concerts when we were 16 and our brains are like, this is the best music ever. And that's why so many people tend to listen to music from a certain part of their age or of their when they were a certain age versus finding new stuff, because it's just you loved it so strongly, literally chemically with your brain, that you're not going to like the new thing as much unless you're a very unique person. So that's why I think we see people buying original Nintendos for way too much money on eBay, because they're like, oh, I get to have the thing that I liked as a kid, or this card game, or this weird toy, or whatever the fuck. I don't know if the advent of social media and having a document, a photo of the thing you like, will replace owning the thing. I don't think it will. I think if you have a positive memory with something, whether it's a car or something else, even if you have photos or videos of it, that's not going to take the place of wanting to actually experience that thing.
Ivan says, in your opinion, what defines a true sports car? What compromises are needed to fulfill the recipe? All cars are now luxurious and fast with seemingly no sacrifices in order to enjoy taking rawness out. Is it true or just me who refuses to accept that's how progress works? Well, you certainly had to make more of a sacrifice in the past to drive a sports car. People with money who can afford a extra car don't want to make certain sacrifices anymore. I don't think there's anybody who's going to spend $100,000 or even $50,000 on a sports car right now that will buy something without air conditioning, or buy something without power door locks, or basic stuff that has become kind of a given in our world. You could still buy a relative, and there's also mandated safety equipment, whether it's impact zones or certain types of lighting and airbags or traction control modules, et cetera, et cetera. And so, like even Lotus, they're not going to sell you like a 2,200-pound car today because you cannot build that car with all the modern stuff that it needs to have.
Mm-hmm. Like Caterham will, but that's because
that's like loophole-y shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like there are true sports cars. The Boxster and Cayman are true sports cars, and they have almost no compromises. They don't have a back seat, okay? They don't have. What doesn't the Boxster Cayman? I mean, they have everything.
I think this is the problem is using a definition that was made before this equipment was available. Mm-hmm. Like, so if the term sports car really came into its own in the 60s and 70s, then we have this idea that a sports car must be something,
you have to hurt for.
You have to hurt for it because AC didn't exist or barely existed, and because power steering didn't exist.
Sucked a lot of power out of the car.
Any of those things. Yeah. And it's like, well, if they could do this back then, they probably would have, because people were still hot when it was hot out and cold when it was cold out.
Yeah.
So I think now there is a little bit more overlap. Like the M2, the new one is big and has every comfort you could want, basically. Like, is it a sports car or is it like a sporty GT car versus the Cayman? It is still, it's also growing, but it feels like it has a little bit more compromise than something like an M2. I just think we can tick some of these boxes in more vehicles than ever, but that's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, the closest thing you can get, you've got Boxster Cayman, you've got the 86, you've got Corvette, and these are cars that, granted, they're limited by their price points, but like the 86 is not compromised in any way in order to be a sports car. Really. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have quite as much fancy equipment as other cars, but it's got power windows and keyless start and power brakes, power steering, GPS, a stereo that works. It doesn't leak water. There are very few compromises in order to make a true sports car today. And that is how progress works. People would not put up with what they had to put up with, except as a virtue. The Ferrari Monza SP1 has no winch. For $3 million, you actually have to pay more.
Right.
If you want that level of sacrifice now, you got to pay more. BAC Mono,
McLaren,
Ariel Atom, the McLaren Elva, SLR Sterling Moss. If you want to have that type of experience, it actually costs more. Mm-hmm. There's a middle ground that won't put up with it, but the very focused, the fucking junkies, the people that have had the craziest, fastest shit, they go, I now need the next. I even said this in my fucking review. I need the heroin now. The coke isn't doing it anymore. I have done every car drug I can do. I am now shooting heroin. That's what the Elva is.
What do you?
800 horsepower, no windshield.
Did that exist in the 60s, or were cars were people like, I need this Duesenberg because these new cars are too light or too comfortable or something?
Oh, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
No, because the idea of nostalgic for collectible cars, that came up in like the 80s. That wasn't they fucking threw GTOs into fields.
Well, I mean, in the decade those came out, they were throwing them in the field. So like, and then these days, if someone races a GT3 car and they don't win, I mean, it gets thrown away. And now the ones that win get kept because they've looked back and gone, well, those are worth a lot of money. These might be worth a lot of money, but.
There were people that drove cars from the 20s and 30s in the 60s and 70s. And for a variety of reasons, history, collectability, their grandfather had it, whatever. But, and there's people who were like, there was like synchros, 4 on the floor.
Right, like,
there's definitely those types of people.
I don't have to adjust my timing while I drive. This is too easy. Yeah. It's just funny the way the definitions just change.
Yeah.
The bar just moves.
But I don't think it's the way that, I don't think people paid extra to have an experience like the 30s in the 60s. Because in the 60s, it was like, more speed, more luxury. Because the cars were still very analog.
Yeah.
Nobody was looking for more analog from that level.
Yeah.
Right? There was no loss of analog nostalgia in the 60s. It wasn't until everything was computer controlled that we started looking backwards for that level of.
The only thing you'd pay more money for in the 60s was just a more exotic car. Like, because the person, if your neighbor had a Camaro Z28, it had a 4-speed manual, but you could go out and buy an E-Type or a Ferrari. Well, now you have a manual transmission as well, but like they're both very analog. They just have very different brand representation.
Okay. Prashant says, in your last show, I feel you guys fundamentally misunderstand how military budgets work.
Yes. I'm sure I do.
That's probably true. I work with people involved in military logistics, and the military is actively pushing hard to electrify because of Biden's executive order. Now, I think that's different from them wanting to electrify because they care about being green. I want to point that out. Prashant says Biden's executive order, not because the military actually cares about being green.
Correct. That was what you said.
These are different.
Yeah.
So unlike what you said, this is Prashant, unlike what you said, the military is actually accountable to a shitload of people. Fine. Even if their budgets are bloated, and most base vehicles drive very routine routes and spend a lot of time idling, making them perfect for electrification. Only a handful of chargers need to be installed in key locations.
That is what I thought, by the way.
Now, that's possibly true. If it's vehicles on established bases, sure. Okay, I was thinking about vehicles that are used out in the field in places like Iraq or whatever, where that would not be a practical solution. But sure, vehicles that just drive people around a base, okay, electrify those. The people that I know who I've talked to in the military, and I'm talking about active duty type of people, have described to me such a shockingly wasteful culture by policy, such as dumping jet fuel into the air rather than landing with some still in your tank, such as burn pits, such as other stuff like that. And while I'm sure that the military is accountable to a shitload of people, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. They're not reducing their budgets. Whatever that accountability is, it has not resulted in us spending less money on the fucking military, despite our appalling track record of failing at fucking wars since the 60s.
Well, I think our statement on that came from the Pentagon's repeated failure of audits. That's that's where our statement was coming from. Like, we don't speak to the naval director and go, do you do all of your accounting internally? Like, internally they might know all the numbers, but I guess what we were speaking on is that the Pentagon does not publish the numbers and seems to fail these audits and not know where a lot of money goes. And it's been proven that parts that are sold here for X dollars are sold, to the military for 400X,
right?
Which seems like cash grabbing a lot of times. So that's where we were coming from.
Yeah. I mean, what he's saying isn't wrong, but he's not necessarily countering what we were saying.
Right. Yeah. He's making slightly different points.
But the point about using vehicles on base and electrifying those, sure. Okay. Electrify, like same as the postal trucks and delivery vehicles and vehicles that drive the same route every single day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, electrify all that shit.
Yeah, a lot of airports are using more and more electric vehicles for the tugs and the luggage things, which makes tons of sense.
Yeah, tons of fucking power over there. Those things drive real short distances over and over.
Yeah, and need the torque.
SG90 says, what are your favorite headlight and tail light designs? They don't have to be same manufacturer. Which is
what are my favorite designs?
Headlight and tail light designs. That's an awfully specific question, and I'm not prepared with an answer for it.
Tell you what, it's not. It's not pop-up headlights.
Yeah, I'm not pro pop-up headlights either.
What are my favorite designs? I don't know.
I like the Tucker that had the center turning headlight. That was cool. That was fun.
It's cool, but I think it looked weird. That's just because it's very different.
Weird,
you know, it's 3 lights in the front.
I like in Germany the laser headlights where you can have your high beams on and it'll selectively block out the oncoming cars so it doesn't blind them. That
when
shit
it's like
rules.
The top 27% turns off, but the bottom laser's still going. Yeah. That's just impressive.
I like the round, the tail lights on the Ferrari 812 that look kind of like torpedoes.
Oh, yeah, right. They went back to the round ones. The 4 GT lights are similar.
Yeah.
Those are sick. Looks like fighter jet shit.
Yeah, does air go through the middle of those?
I think the exhaust goes through. No, wait, that's a
different car. There's a car that has that.
Yeah.
I like, what was that old car where the tail light, might have been a Bel Air or something of that period where you'd flip up the rear
56.
tail light to fill it with gas?
56.
That was kind
Bel
of
Air.
Needlessly complicated. But
but also super cool.
DeLorean taillights for the time, very iconic.
GTR taillights, 4 round ones. Those are just nice and simple.
Those are good. The old Skyline ones. Very cool.
I like, somehow with the E30, they made 4 round circles have a little attitude only because the hood curves down just enough.
Got the eyebrow.
But it's not as much eyebrow as Jeep people.
Yeah.
It's subtle.
Yeah.
It's, it's just that focus. The 4GT, it's heat extraction. It's not exhaust, but it's just like, it's a flow through.
It's just a flow through.
Yeah, that's cool.
Benjamin says, I own a 2013 FRS with 10K worth of mods, including suspension, wheels, tires, exhaust, and tune, making about 30 extra horsepower with 130,000 miles. Should I upgrade to the new generation of 86 or turbocharge my current 86? That's a if it's your only car, I would get the new one. Right? I wouldn't want my only car to be a 10-year-old FRS fully modded with a turbo on it.
No.
That's just me.
But it seems risky. I don't know. I was about to say it seems like it'd be unreliable and risky, but I don't want to speak out of school and have the forums they'll go forever like this, but it seems bold.
I drove an 86 with a Rotrex supercharger on it, like 8 PSI, and that seemed pretty nice.
It seems like the great amount of power.
That was a very good balance. I enjoyed it a lot. It was great to drive. But you're also talking about a money question here.
Yeah. Do you upgrade to the new one or turbocharge? Driving, Turo a new one if you can.
Yeah.
Because I think the new one with the new engine and all that stuff might feel like yours does with this extra horsepower, but it'll have a lot of new tech and new comforts and things. So maybe you'll just like that enough. But if what you're seeking is a lot more speed or power, I think you could go different directions. Like just get a Camaro SS.
Yeah.
An SS1 LE handles just as good as your FRS. It'll feel heavier, but it's great handling and it has way more horsepower.
Yeah, 10-year-old FRS is getting on there in year. I don't know what these things are like very long term.
Me neither.
And also, there's these issues with the brand new ones that
That seems very real.
Yeah, it seems like a thing
that problem
might lead me to not want to. 130K. Your other one's probably pretty good.
Yeah, you've made it so far. Yeah. The other one, these new ones seem to have, oiling issues on right-hand sweeper turns? I don't know. Yeah. I would wait until they update that.
Yeah.
I think that story is still developing.
All right. Michael says your S63 video was great. With that experience, what would each of you individually pick in that sedan size and class that balances luxury and performance for long-distance highway driving that can comfortably fit 2 6-foot-tall boys in the back seat? Money, no object. Money, no object, Bentley Flying Spur or Mulsanne.
Yeah. I haven't driven...
or the new Phantom.
The new one. The Mulsanne, it didn't have the cornering ability that the S63 had. But if you're just doing that, Mulsanne.
Or, if you want cornering, Flying Spur.
Or an S8.
Yeah. The Flying Spur, though, that's fire.
That's very cool.
but Mulsanne is what's up.
That thing was so fun.
There's a new Mulsanne. MR2D2, good name. For my next watch, I would like a watch that makes a statement of taste and responsibility under $1,000. Durable enough for daily wear, but unique and memorable. Tissot PRX, Maine Manhattan, and Precista Bronze PRS 30. I have never heard of two of the three of those. The Tissot PRX Power Matic 80 is a pretty solid watch for $1,000. Pretty solid. I like it. Tissot makes a decent watch. I've literally never heard of the other ones, and I could not speak to their durability for daily wear. I just don't know. Never heard of them. I would say you may want to wait for our Notice watch. You're asking questions. You're obviously a pro driver. The price point of this watch will be close to that, and this watch is nicer than a Tissot. Just saying. In terms of hardware and in terms of durability and all that kind of stuff, this watch has more capability. So you may want to hang on for that. But of the three you've put there, the Tissot is the only one I've heard of. Sean Stewart says, how do manufacturers decide when an influencer or YouTube journalist has reached a status where they will get invited to major events like your recent European trips? Are there quantitative requirements, or is it more of a case-by-case basis? I have absolutely no idea. Sure. There is a human. It's not algorithmic. Right. There is a human whose job it is to invite people. Mm-hmm. And so if you make a name for yourself, you probably won't just be invited to Monaco on the first trip. You'll probably be recognized locally and given press loans. And if you're smart, you will figure out how to contact the PR people for manufacturers and tell them why you deserve a car, and they'll get you one locally. And then if you do right by them, and by that I don't mean give them a positive review. I mean, if you say you're going to make 4 TikToks with the car, you actually make 4 TikToks with the car. I mean, you don't break it or treat it like shit or whatever. But yeah, it's a person that decides.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors today. Some of it's your numbers, but then are you making content that they want to be associated with? Are you making content they think is fair? Is your reputation in the industry good? Are you a reliable, responsible person? That's why, like you said, that's why it goes through a human or a bunch of humans, because they might go, well, this person has all these subscribers, and they go, yes, but we brought them on this thing, and they actually didn't deliver what we wanted, or it didn't actually do anything for our sales or name, and so they'll go with somebody else.
For Aston, I was on the influencer wave. I was not on a journalist wave, and there was a couple people who were very nice, but who all they did is Instagram. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like they did like 2 or 3 Instagram posts for the whole thing, and that was enough to go. They didn't have to review the car at all. They didn't have to comment on it at all. It was pure lifestyle. I'm in Monaco with Aston Martin. Look at this pretty car. Mm-hmm. That was it. And so, and a lot of press launches for cars now, especially at the high end, will have an influencer wave just like that, where they don't expect you to really create any like meaningful content. You just like do the thing you do, which is in some cases is very basic. Flannel Bob says, revisited some older one takes, and you wanted to hear me talk about the Honda N600 with the VFR motorbike engine on the podcast. Favorite video.
What a car.
It was a crazy car. It was built by a guy named Dean Williams, who does not currently own it. It still lives in LA. I've seen it around before. Yeah, it's a little lightweight Honda N600 with a motorcycle engine in it. It's a V4. It is rear-wheel drive. It has a sequential gearbox. It does not have reverse, or at least it didn't. Which was
push it with your foot?
Yeah, you Fred Flintstoned it backwards. Yeah.
What a car, though.
But other than not having reverse, it was incredibly well built and finished and really well sorted, and it sounded insane. You know, it had an exhaust dump. So it had a regular muffled exhaust that sounded very good, but then you'd open the dump and it sounded like an F1 car. And it revved to like 12,800 RPM. And it was a, you know, full sequential, it was a motorcycle gearbox, so it was fully sequential. And the fit and finish was really good. I drove another car that this guy, Dean Williams, built. He did a Volvo, a P1800 with a Cobalt SS engine in it, or something like that. The Chevy, the turbo Chevy motor.
Oh, the Ecotec.
Yeah, which was very nice. Also a very nice car. This guy was a really good, for like a homebrew dude, like this guy was a great builder.
Cool.
And yeah, I had a standing offer with the owner. If he ever wanted to sold it to sell it, I said I would buy it. And if I did buy it, I'd want to put a small battery in the back with an E motor for reverse, just like have it on a button so you could reverse the car, because not having reverse in a car sucks.
Yeah. But if you haven't seen this video, go watch it, because the car sounds amazing.
It sounds insane, and I had an amazing time driving it. It was a really, really cool car. It was a very unique experience, and I think one of only 2 cars that I've ever driven that I offered to buy on the spot. Forget what the other one was now that I think about it. The other one I drove that I should have bought and didn't was the twin-turbo Ferrari 348 from Tuned.
Oh, yeah.
Which I could have gotten for cheap.
Because that was for sale? So
yeah.
They hit you up soon after.
The guy wanted out of it, and I could have bought it for, like, cheap. And I didn't, and I should have. It was a 348 Challenge with twin turbos built by Steve Maxwell. It was crazy fun.
I'm trying to remember what the other car was that you...
I don't remember what the other one was that I offered to buy. Anyway. It was the E30 with the S54 motor in it.
Oh, yeah, the red one.
And it was fucking tits. Best BMW I've ever driven. Aaron says, have you ever driven a Toyota Sports 800? No, and I have no idea what that is. What is a Toyota Sports 800? Oh, it's like a little 2-seater. Oh, it looks like an even smaller 2000 GT. How about that?
It looks like they shrunk it long ways and made it narrower, but it's the same height.
There's no way I'm fitting in that. I mean, I can't. I tried to fit. Oh, there's a 2000 GT in that photo right behind it. I tried to fit in a 2000 GT, and it was not happening.
I wonder if this was made to compete with the Opel GT. That's what it reminds me of.
Looks like it was made to compete with the Honda S600.
Or that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Toyota Cappuccino from...
I don't know if I've ever even seen one of these. It's pretty rad, though.
That's cool.
If I saw one of the Cars and Coffee, I would be talking to you for a
700 cc, it weighs 1,200 pounds.
Oh, wow. It would go... This engine was sufficient. It had...
44 horsepower?
44 horsepower. Oh, man. That is very, very, very... styling by Tatsuo Hasegawa, excuse me. That is same guy who did the 2000 GT. That's why it looks like it. Cool. It looks neat. If I saw one at a Cars and Coffee, I would be exceptionally excited.
Yeah, it was to compete with the Honda S500, the Datsun Fairlady.
You know what I really like is that modern Honda S660, like the new one.
I haven't seen the new one.
It's like they're building it now. It's like a K car Honda Roadster, and it looks rad.
This little guy?
Yeah, our buddies from Automation in New Zealand, they had one. Doesn't that look cool? I bet that's a good time.
I feel like it's part R8, part Honda Accord.
Yeah,
part
styling-wise, there's a lot going on there, but just the fact that it exists makes me happy.
Yeah, I bet it's a good time.
Yeah,
it takes up no space.
Yeah, I'm into it. Look at it's like there's like a Fiesta next to it that looks huge.
The door handles of the Fiesta look like they're above the roof of this thing. Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Daxa says, I'm the dumb girl who bragged about wanting a 4-seat manual convertible for a road trip. One of them cheated on us, and so we Turo'd a Miata. Uh-oh. It was the answer. My question is, if you had your personal ideal 2-car garage, what one would you cheat on them with? Wait. So the question is, we had a 2-car garage. What would then be the 3rd car that we would cheat on the cars with?
I think so.
Is that what that means?
I think that's the question, yeah. If I remember this question, she asked us, they're doing like a 3-person road trip in Vermont. And we were like, rent a convertible 128i or something like that. And so went from 3 people on a trip to 2. They went Miata. So now I think you're right. If we had a 2-car garage, what would be the third wild card?
The third I mean, my 2 cars are a practical everyday car, probably electric, and then if I've only got 2, and then a modern or semi-modern sports car that's fun but like reliable enough to deal with. So my third car from there is something Italian from the 80s, where I don't need to rely on it for anything. So it could be the Countach, it could be that's the third car for me.
My third car would be, unless I owned a Corvette, my third car would be something 60s American, like cheap pro touring, like Zach's Mustang. Something I can beat the fuck out of and just do burnouts in, and that's what I would do. That would be my my red, we'd call it the red flag car, I think.
Anthony Webb, if this question is about your actual life and not a hypothetical, congratulations. You've had a big come up and your job requires you to be in 3 very different locations throughout the year: Seattle, New York City, and Munich. You need a car for each, and you have $150,000 to $200,000 per car. You never know when you'll be in any of these cities, so the car should be 4-season appropriate. If this is actually your life,
wow,
it's not bad. You're doing all right. I suspect it's a hypothetical, but like, good for you. Let's just say, if this is anyone's life, good for you, because that sounds kind of fun. So, first off, I would say for New York City, I would not buy a car. I would join the Manhattan Classic Car Club, and I would get their highest tier of membership, which gets you a lot of points to drive the cars in their fleet. And then you also have a social club attached to it, and a restaurant, and a place to hang out when you're in New York City. If I spent a third of the year in New York City, I would not want to deal with having a car in New York City for that amount of time. Because even if it was an expensive fucking car, you're probably talking $1,000 a month just to park it.
The battery's going to die, right? Because if you don't drive it for 8 months,
it's going to be annoying.
The battery's dead.
But Manhattan Classic Car Club, you get their membership. They've got a fleet of interesting and cool cars. They maintain them. They keep them. You use them when you need a car.
Yeah.
And you don't, even if you're in New York a third of the year, you don't need the car in New York for most of the year. So I would do that. Seattle, $150,000 to $200,000 per car in Seattle.
That's a lot of money. That opens a lot of doors.
I would get a Macan GTS. That's under budget by quite a lot.
I was going to say RS5, but that's also under budget by a lot.
That's under budget. $150,000 is like a lot.
How do we spend more money?
Targa, a 911 Targa GTS, and two sets of wheels and tires.
That's a pretty cool car.
I would probably do the same shit in Munich too.
You could get an M3, like the one with xDrive, and then you could pay $50,000 to have some of it rebodied. Munich,
you get the M3 Touring.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Or,
that would be good.
Or the E63 wagon.
Or Munich Alpina is right there. You get the Alpina B8, $175,000, fucking flying up the Autobahn. That could be delightful.
What is sold in Europe that we can't? I mean, you could get the Alpina A110, but that's too small. That's too cheap for what this person's doing.
Maybe in Seattle, you get a Taycan GTS Sport Turismo. Or Cross Turismo, because you could put the snow tires on there. Taycan 4S Cross Turismo, that would be delightful.
That'd be very good.
Yeah, that'll get you right in the sweet spot there. And then in Munich, I'd get the BMW M3 Touring.
Oh, the M3
or the
Touring.
Alpina. Alpinas are pretty. You get mad respect in Germany if you drive Alpina.
I'd get M3 Touring because you want to go to the Nürburgring, or you want to go do track days because you're there, so you can still haul ass on the freeway because you don't need super cushy suspension because the roads are good.
The roads are good in Germany.
Yeah.
It's
a good answer.
If that's your life, Anthony, good for you. Shout out to him. Thanks, patrons. Appreciate your questions on this one. Did you post the event for Henry Graybar yesterday for tomorrow? Zach?
No.
Okay. Live people, we are back tomorrow, Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific with Henry Graybar. He is the author of Paved Paradise, How Parking Explains the World. I fucking loved this book. I thought this book was great. It really helped me understand a lot about our current crises in terms of affordable housing, in terms of why some downtown areas are very depressed. It's like, it turns out like building parking in downtown areas such as downtown LA like drives people out.
Interesting.
It encourages people to not live downtown, but rather to come and go.
Right.
And it takes up a lot of the like store frontage, because even if you just put a parking lot there, you still need to have an entrance to that parking lot, and that's somewhere where a storefront could be. It's crazy. They also talk about. He talks a lot about metered parking versus free street parking. Like the free street parking in New York City is like the biggest gift that the government could give to car owners at the expense of non-car owners. Like there's no reason for street parking in New York City to A, exist, but B, to be free. It's completely ass backwards. And there's a lot of interesting concepts they talk about. And also in Los Angeles and a lot of other places, the design of every fucking building, whether it's a house, an office, an apartment building, a hotel, you name it, is totally wrapped up in the parking. Totally wrapped. This building, the building that we're in, I have a personal experience with this. I built a goddamn parking lot, and the city made me build a parking lot for my parking lot. Mm-hmm. I had to spend 50% more money to build an underground parking lot for my parking lot.
Was that because we're in a car-centric city, so they need ways for people to go to the business?
Well, because there are minimums. We have parking minimums here in LA, and one of the things he talks about in the book is in places where cities have abolished minimums and instead instituted maximums, they have seen vast improvements in urban areas.
Interesting.
And like all those apartment buildings that you see here, what's called the dingbat style of apartment building, which if you're not in LA, you're going, what the fuck am I talking about? But if you are in LA, it's where all the cars park underneath the overhang and from the street, you just see this like overhang in cars.
Yeah, the first floor is a carport.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that whole entire thing, like that is defined by parking per unit and parking per square foot requirements. And those apartments are typically in much lower demand than apartments that were built in areas like Santa Monica and Hollywood and West Hollywood where they were built before those requirements, because the buildings are much more attractive. Oh. And you could not build those buildings today.
Right.
It's also why you can't build a lot of low-income housing today, because building parking is crazy expensive, and if you build and they have minimums. So even if you try to build low-income housing, the requirements of the parking drive the cost of construction and design up so much that the apartments then have to become more expensive. But no one is going to pay that money for a basic apartment. So they add amenities like the pools and the gyms and all this shit, and then they make it luxury apartments to justify the higher rent, when the whole reason the rent was so high in the first place was we had to build us fucking parking.
But is that to help, like, because if someone just, is it because we're in a car-centric city, so if people built a 20-unit apartment building with no parking, let's just go extreme,
right,
then you're obviously only catering to a market of people that don't have a car, don't need a car.
Which many low-income people don't. If you're building low-income housing, a lot of low-income people don't have a car. And we're going to talk about this tomorrow. It's not like you're screwing people who do have cars. They will have other places to live. But by forcing parking in all apartment buildings, you're making people who don't have cars subsidize the people who do have cars. And it's like how if you improve public transit, the commutes for people who like to drive get better. Right. Because you don't have to force people off the highway. You just have to give them an option that works better, and some people will take it, reducing traffic for everybody else. Same thing. If you build low-income apartment buildings without parking on site, there are enough people who would happily pay $300 or $400 a month less in rent. And the reason it's cheaper is specifically because the developer didn't have to build a fucking parking lot. And you didn't have a car anyway.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Yeah. So there's a lot in this book about that, and I can't wait to talk to the author about it.
Cool.
Because it defines like the city, it defines the suburbs, it defines the single-family home, the multifamily home, the low-income apartment, the high-income apartment, and it's not, parking isn't like the natural order of things. It's like specifically planned out by people who have made conscious choices that are in many cases like not good for us. So as like the owner of a parking lot and a car enthusiast who also considers himself a progressive, I'm at a weird intersection of interests in this book. So it's kind of funny. Anyway, tomorrow at 11 o'clock, Henry Graybar, author of Paved Paradise, will be on the podcast. And we'll see you all then. Bye.